This is the craziest medical case I've seen in my 20 years of being a neurosurgeon, and it started with a phone call. This was back when I was training and we were doing some evening rounds, running our lists, and that's when we got the phone call from the emergency room. And the emergency room doctor, appeared to be kind of shaken. And you have to understand, the emergency room doctors see everything, so they are not easily rattled. But this ER doc, sounded a little different. He said, "We have a patient down here with maggots on the head." And honestly, we paused and said, "Well, I don't know how this is a neurosurgery problem. Maybe it's like a wound care issue, but didn't sound like a neurosurgical problem." So we thought, okay, maybe he's mistaken. Probably it's a deep wound, and what he's seeing is really the skull bone. So, but we still went to the emergency room, see what's really going on, and he was absolutely right. There were literally maggots crawling on the brain, and everyone in the emergency room was just paralyzed. This was not something that we could really fix in the emergency room. So we took the patient emergently to the operating room, and there we really saw the full extent of the problem. There was absolutely no skin. The bone was gone. The dura was open, and we literally saw brain herniating out with some maggots still crawling around. And so we washed everything out with antibiotic solution, with hydrogen peroxide, betadine, everything we do to, clear any infection. So we finished the case, but something just wasn't sitting right because maggots do not just go through the skin and the bone and the dura. Something was off. And so the question became, how did this happen? So we went back and looked at the skin around the area carefully, and it looked suspicious. And it turned out that this patient had a very aggressive form of skin cancer, and that had caused the damage. Now, if the story ended there, it would still be the wildest case I had ever seen. But this is not where the story ends. The patient actually survived the initial surgery, but a few months later, he actually died, likely from that brain infection. So you might say, how does that make sense? The brain was exposed for months, the wound was neglected, and after you cleaned it out, how come this happened? And this is the part that is most unbelievable. The maggots may have actually been keeping the wound clean and eating the dead tissue so it doesn't get infected. That sounds insane, but there's a history behind this. Maggots have been used in medicine for centuries to clean infected wounds. They feed on dead tissue and help reduce bacterial contamination. There are reports by a French surgeon going back to 1557. In this bizarre case, the thing that looked horrifying may have actually been part of what had kept this patient alive. Don't believe me? A colleague of mine published this in the journal Neurosurgery. So there you have it. Now here's the final part. Why am I remembering this case from 20 years ago? Well, just a few weeks ago, I saw almost the exact same case, a patient with the same type of devastating problem. In over 20 years of neurosurgery, I've seen a lot of weird cases, but this remains the craziest case I've ever been involved with. And somehow, I've seen this twice.